y'all, let's get ready to sew some Janet jeans. I'm going to go over some of the extra things you'll need, like notions, sewing supplies for jeans in case you haven't sewn jeans before and this is your first little dip your toe into some jean sewing. First we'll go over fabric. The Janet jeans are drafted for a stretch denim, so a stretch woven. Stretch denim is obviously going to be one of the most popular. I grabbed this one from my local Joann's. You can get it online as well. I recommend at least 10% stretch. Anything smaller than that and you're probably going to want to size up, okay? There are a lot of things that are labeled stretch denim and then you get them in and you can't feel any stretch at all. Even if it has that tiny bit of spandex, you want to make sure if you're buying online that it either tells you what percentage stretch it has or it's labeled something like high stretch denim. This one, again, I got from Joann's. It's got plenty of stretch. Gonna be nice and comfortable to wear. If it has more stretch, you're okay. I think 10 to 20% is what I recommend in the pattern. Anything higher than that, you're gonna wanna baste them up, try them on, make sure you don't wanna take them in a little bit, but really the more stretch, usually just the more comfortable it is. As long as it's got good recovery, it's not gonna stretch out during the day on you. Another option is stretch twill. It's got plenty of stretch usually. I grabbed this one from Joann's, a super fun leopard, but you can find it in normal colors as well. You can also do something like a stretch corduroy. I found a stretch linen, which is a little on the thinner side for pants, but will be great in darker colors for the spring and summer. Let's see. That's about it. There's not a ton of fabrics you can get out there. Now you can get a stretch suiting and you can make kind of a nicer dress pant if you want from this pattern. There's a lot of stretch suitings out there. For the pockets, if you want something fun for the pockets, the pocket bag linings, that is. Of course, if you're talking about the patch pockets, usually you just use the same fabric. But the traditional pockets like this have a separate bag piece so that you can use a thinner fabric so that you're not adding a ton of bulk here. Okay. My favorite one that I've been using is a stretch chiffon. I found several just really pretty stretch chiffons from my local Joann's. It's got plenty of stretch. It doesn't need a ton of stretch. You don't need to knit. Okay, your denim just has a tiny bit of stretch. Your pockets need a tiny bit of stretch. You don't want to use a woven with no stretch, or else this part of the pants isn't going to stretch with your jeans and it's going to pull funky, okay, and it's going to feel tight. So you do want a little bit of stretch. Again, this is stretch chiffon. It was my favorite. You can also use something like a stretch charmeuse or a stretch satin if you want. I'm sure there's other ones. I don't use a ton of woven fabrics, so I don't have a ton in my stash. I think there's one called a stretch Florence. Anything that's lightweight, thin, with a little bit of stretch is going to be perfect for it, okay? And I love doing them pretty. You don't have to, of course. I think it's a fun little detail that you get with your custom jeans. Okay. All right, next up we'll talk interfacing. You must have interfacing for these jeans. I like to use a knit interfacing that has slight stretch. That way I know when I'm wearing it and the denim is stretching, it's not going to detach from my fabric. If you use a woven interfacing and the fabric is stretching and the interfacing isn't, it's not going to stay attached the way you want it. So I recommend a light to medium interfacing for knit, okay? Knit interfacing. And we're gonna use that on the zipper, all the zipper guard pieces, fly facing. Then we're also gonna use it in our waistband. I prefer to interface my entire waistband. I do not want this thing stretching out as I take them on and off and wear them during the day. I like my waistband tight and snug and stay where I want it to stay. You can, however, if you're trying on your, if you've cut your waistband, you slip it around you and it feels kind of snug, you can opt to only put interfacing little pieces right here and here. You absolutely must have them where your button and buttonhole are going to be. Okay? Absolutely cannot skip it at all. I prefer to interface my entire waistband. That's what the tutorial will have you do as well. Next up, we can talk zips. Okay? This is a traditional jean zip. If you're doing the adult, you most likely need a size 6-inch zipper. That is what the pieces are drafted for. If you're super tall like me and you add length, you might need an extra inch. So I use 7-inch because I'm 5'10", so I add an extra inch. Now, if you're tall and you add an inch and you have a 6-inch zipper, that's probably fine. Your zip fly just won't be quite as long. It won't hit as close to the bottom as average height. That's okay. I like the extra inch, not only because I'm tall, but I'm super curvy. I have to grade from a small waist to a large hip, so I need mine to open up a lot to jump into my jeans, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so I like the extra inch zipper. If you are average height, 6-inch will probably be fine for you. If you're shorter, you might even need a 5-inch. Okay, if you're super curvy, I suggest not shortening your zipper. If you're not super curvy, you can probably get away with less. Okay, the pattern is drafted for 6-inch zippers. It's probably the most common, easiest to find. Jean zippers are easy to find. You can find them at your local craft store, Amazon, Wallwack. You know, they're pretty easy to find. Jean zipper versus a normal zipper. Jean zippers are always metal. They're also supposedly more durable. So this twill on the side, your zipper tape, supposedly more durable, along with the metal pieces. Is it true? I'm not sure. But I plan on wearing my jeans a lot and I want the zipper to hold. So I bought the jean zipper. Now, that being said, there was a few that I wanted fun colors for. Jean zippers, you can pretty much only find in navy, black, white, maybe gray. So if you want a fun color, probably gonna have to risk not using a jean zipper. And I did on several, especially on my baby girls, because I know she's gonna grow out of the jeans before she wears out the zipper. I do try to use metal still instead of plastic. Every once in a while, if I just have a really cute plastic one, I'll still use it for baby girl. Myself, I will only use metal. I don't want the zipper malfunctioning. Okay, so they're really easy to shorten. I have a video on how to shorten them to the perfect size for your Janet jeans. So if you have a longer zipper that you need to shorten, you can pop over and watch that video. Okay. Let's talk sewing needles. I have used a universal needle on almost all of mine. None of my fabric was heavy weight. It was all medium weight, but stretch wovens will be medium weight, not a heavy weight. There are such things as denim needles. I found I didn't need them. None of my fabric was heavy enough to need a denim needle. Also, there are top stitching needles, again made for denim. And so in general, I did not use these at all. Even when I used my top stitching thread, I just used the universal needle. One thing that is really neat about these top stitching needles though, is that the eye to thread the thread through is a little bit bigger, so it's easier. But none of my fabric was heavy weight enough to need the bigger needle that it comes in. It comes for a denim, so I have not been using that. Since we're talking about top stitching thread, we can talk about that next. You can use normal all-purpose thread. I did on these ones. I didn't want a high contrast thread on these, These are almost a black denim, and so I just thought it looked really nice and clean. But you can use a top stitching thread, and I can hold these two threads out to show you. Let's see if I can show you the difference in the weight. So let me unravel this one a little bit more. Okay. Hopefully you can see the gold one is much thicker. So this is normal all-purpose. It's fine to use. You're not going to see your top stitching as much if you use that. If you want the traditional jeans look with a really high contrast top stitching, you're going to want this top stitch thread. And I'll show you what that reads, maybe. It says jeans top stitching. I don't think it's going to focus on there. I'm sorry. It says jeans top stitching. I got it from my local Joann's. You can also order it online very easily. And it does come in other colors if you want other colors. Not a huge array of colors, but you can find a few. There is also denim thread. You can use this. It's fine to use this. It's a little stronger. It's a little more durable. But I really don't think it's necessary for the Janet jeans since they're made out of stretch woven and they're not heavy duty denim. I don't think it's necessary, but it's there. And if you sew up a couple pairs and you really, really love them and you know you're going to wear them for the next 10 years over and over and over, use some denim thread. Next up, your closure. So you have a few options for your closure. The most common would be a jeans button. That's what I used on most of mine. That's what I have here. A jeans button and a buttonhole. Very traditional. Next up is something that I use for my big girl more, and that is a heavy duty snap. You do need a heavy duty. A regular snap is not going to go through the stretch denim. You have to go through 2 layers plus 2 layers of interfacing. So you need heavy duty and you need it to be metal heavy duty. Okay? But these work great for little ones who aren't quite ready for buttons. Of course, my baby girl would die if she heard me say that. She can do buttons, but she likes a snap sometimes. She just likes the way it looks sometimes. Another option is large hook and eyes, and just like this. Here's the other little tiny piece. These more are like a trousers look. So I mentioned I have some stretch linen. I used this on those. Kind of looks more like a tight pair of slacks versus a jean. So just another option if you don't want a button showing or a snap showing, you can use those hook and eyes. You have to hand sew them on. You can use 1 or 2 depending on the size, and then you'll just hook your waistband like that. I'm sure there's other options out there. Those are the ones that I have. A few other tools that you'll need that make your life much, much easier is some kind of marking tool. So for chalk, but you can also use Fix-On pins that go away with ironing, the little pencils, whatever your favorite marking tool is. You're going to need to mark your pocket placements. On the adult, you're going to need to mark the darts. So important that you have a nice marking tool. Next up is something to help turn your waistband. So your waistband has these sharp corners right here. And it's really nice to have some kind of tool. So this is a purple thing. And then this is like a little bamboo stick. This is my favorite. You just right there to help you turn it nice and square. That's it. Nothing too crazy. Most of this stuff you will probably already have in your sewing supplies. and nothing is too difficult to find. I link some fabric choices in the suggested fabrics. Now, if you are sewing these long after they have been released, all that fabric might be sold out by now, but stretch denim, stretch twill, stretch linens, stretch corduroy, these are the things that work really great. You don't want anything too stretchy because they're going to feel loose. These are meant to be fitted from the waist all the way through the thigh, and then they kind of flare out with that 70s vibe. So you want something that is a stretch woven. You don't want something that is technically a knit, okay? The only knit you could probably get away with is a very tight recovery ponte. So that would probably work good and would look like a nice pair of work slacks. For the jean look, stretch denim, stretch twill is what you want. All right, I hope this helps, and I hope you see how easy it is to sew some jeans.